Well, this week, tech giant and cultural mover and shaker Apple launched a new set of products, most notably the iPhone 6 and the iWatch. Now, this comes on the heels of new launches from rival Samsung. While many of these new devices won't be on store shelves until next year, news of the latest innovations is making tech enthusiasts giddy. So what is so special about these new gadgets, and how will they impact our lives?
They've brought lawn chairs and sleeping bags and a few other things, a bust of Steve Jobs, and have set up camp outside this Tokyo Apple store. They're determined to be the first to get their hands on the new iPhone 6 next week.
I'm counting down the days left to the iPhone 6 launch on my t-shirt.
In the U.S., analysts say the $349 price tag for the Apple Watch may just be beyond reach.
I think that by integrating, the health component, health and fitness, and certainly making the watch one of a platform to be able to do all kinds of things, checking, your boarding pass, using it to enter your hotel room, and so I do think that makes it a compelling product, but it is priced high, in my opinion.
The watch will have Apple Pay, a new mobile payment service with partners that include Disney, Whole Foods, and McDonald's. Analysts say those partnerships and the Apple ecosystem will help them succeed.
Remember is these devices work with iPhones, and there's going to be an enormous install base.
Elsewhere, veteran Irish rockers U2 pulled off a surprise at Apple's products launch, making their latest album available for free on Apple's iTunes online store.
Now, to speak with us about these new offerings from Apple and Samsung are Dr. Jose Lopez. He's a professor of physics at Seton Hall University. Political psychologist Dr. Bart Rossi has stuck around, and so has Dee Dee Benkie. So, we heard all this hype about these products coming out. I think that was to the disadvantage of Apple, because now everybody expects the next Jetsons product to come out. And when it doesn't come out, they're sort of disappointed. In fact, the stock actually was down a little bit on that day. Right. Was there too much hype, Dr. Lopez?
I mean, it's Apple. Apple is all about hype. I mean, all the products that they have there are extremely hyped up, and to an extent, because they're really a cultural icon, if you will. So a lot of their products, I mean, we look at other things like Samsung, for example. Samsung is usually first to market on a lot of the technology, but Apple just innovates, makes them artistic looking and nice looking, and they've created this culture. And that's really what people expect. And when these events come, they want to know what's going on.
But it's a different company post Steve Jobs. You have to admit, it doesn't have the same sizzle.
Yeah, but gadgetry and people are blended so well by Apple. The culture, as Jose says, it's just the culture is fantastic. It's an experience going to an Apple store, and I don't think Samsung has that yet. I don't think they have that sense.
Okay, so let's look at some of the products here. With regard to the smartphones, at least, we have the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus versus the Note 4 and the Note 4 Plus. How do we size that? Who wins this battle?
It's hard to tell because it
hasn't
come out yet, but technology-wise are about the same. I would say artistically looking at it and aesthetics, the Apple phone. I mean, and Apple really made smartphones. I mean, in 2007 they got the smartphone out. That is the industry standard these days.
But if the phone is functional, isn't that more important than it being good looking?
No, absolutely not. Okay,
one female.
Frank, no. Style, and it's interesting, and it's pretty, and these things are important. And let me tell you, when I walked to Penn Station today, there was chalk on the sidewalk. Line to start, get your iPhone 6. It really is a culture to stand in line, and I got my 6. Who's first to get their 6? And you got a 5, you're out.
But Dee Dee, they also make fun of people who camp out for 3 days before they open up the store.
Look, no. Look, the iPhones, people have iPhones. They're very loyal, and I want my 6 immediately,
I think it really is the culture.
Group.
Dee Dee and Jose are right. It's the culture. And what I think Samsung should do is they should hire a psychologist, a good psychologist to have them change their thinking.
Is somebody available?
Yeah,
I don't have any idea.
Who'd be good?
Is a psychologist
somebody
available?
who could change their culture.
All right, let's go. This is the latest thing, and for some people of a certain age, you saw this growing up with Dick Tracy. But you actually have a smart watch, and on Apple's end, they have the Apple Watch. That's what they're calling it. Samsung is calling its smartwatch the Galaxy Gear Live. So who wins this primary?
It's hard to tell. The Gear Live is out. It's been used. The Apple Watch won't be out until 2005, early 2005. So it's hard to tell.
2015.
2015. I'm sorry. Right. Yeah. Going in the past. Right. So it's really hard to tell. But these are not standalone devices. They're tethered to the Galaxy or cell phone or the iPhone. So it's not a standalone device at this point.
If you have one of these, can we just say it? You're showing off. You want to be able to go.
Yes, and that's good.
And you like that.
It's cool. Yeah, I like it. And here's the other thing: if you're in a meeting and you don't want to be rude, pick up your phone, text. You just look at your watch.
But
it's kind of clever. You just look at your watch and people just think you're looking at the time.
But if you could look at me right now, if the camera can, what is the difference from doing this or looking at your smartphone? You're still touching your watch, the top of your watch, like that.
Because it's cooler.
So it goes back to what I was saying.
Yeah, basically.
It's a fashion statement.
I'm kind of interested in it as a psychologist, but I wonder, do we have too much gadgetry on us? Are we going to be robots or are we going to be people here?
Well, now you're opening up a whole other segment here. You're opening up a whole other segment. You can make a very good point. Do we need to be connected 24/7? And most people like that.
I mean, a lot of it is due to job function. A lot of people are connected all the time because it's how they make their living.
Right.
So to an extent, yes. I mean, we become that 24/7 culture that is constantly connected, and our children are that way too these days.
All right. Before we go to the next one, you brought up a very good point. Let's spend 30 seconds on this. Do people have to have this on them because they want to feel important? Like people have got to get in touch with me. I have to have my smartphone. I have to have my smartwatch.
They feel it's necessary now, and that bothers me a little bit because we're taking it away from our sense of being a person. And I think we're being an object in a certain way, and I do have an issue with that.
Good point. Okay, let's talk about Apple Pay. This is this new Touch to Pay service, which Apple is promoting, where you don't even have to reach in your pocket anymore and get cash, unless you have to tip the doorman or pay the cabbie. Or, to me, it seems almost as though the people of a certain age won't really grasp this because we're so used to cash. And there are some industries that are driven by cash. You hit the maitre d' with the $10 bill, you don't tap his phone. So will it work? Is it something we see coming? And will it be more popular than cash one day?
I mean, down the line, it could be that's the case. You just bring your phones together. Absolutely. I mean, what Apple's done, they are the most wealthiest company. They're the most highly valued company in the world right now. They're using that, and they're going to all of these credit card companies, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and they said, we're going to use our name. And what they tell you or me, the customer, they say is you don't have to present a credit card that has all your information. You have to show your ID. Apple will vouch for you, and money will go to pay the vendor directly from us.
But we have seen data breaches, and the more technology we get, the hackers figure it out eventually. Now, here I am at Starbucks, and I'm going to tap and pay. And while I'm tapping and paying, there's a guy standing next to me, and he's reading all my information, not only my credit card information, but everything off my phone.
Look, we're a fast culture. We're moving. I mean, when it comes to driving, do you want to stop there, pay the toll booth guy, and keep going? You want to just fly through with your Easy Pass. And this is the same thing with where this is going. I mean, do you want to go to a vending machine and, do I have enough change and do all that stuff? Or
I agree.
tap your phone and boom, your soda's out.
I agree. I think the psychology on this works, and it's going to work very well, and people are going to go for it.
But how do you keep it secure?
It's easier, it's quicker, and we've got to make sure it's secure, but we've got to be vigilant about our own information. So at Starbucks, sort of covered a little bit.
Well, that's the whole
going to
thing.
happen.
You don't have to cover it, Dee Dee.
Well, better yet.
There's no photo, anything being exchanged. Like your driver's license, someone can see that, or your credit card number, someone can see that.
Awesome.
This isn't.
We can do a whole other segment on privacy concerns, because I would venture to say 30 years from now, if everybody knew where you were driving, there would be an uproar. But now you go through Easy Pass, they know exactly and what time you were, to the second, by the way.
However, it's always good to have a little cash, right?
Let's look at the product we haven't looked at. That's gaming and beyond. Samsung Gear VR. The question is, will Apple ever offer a gaming challenge? This is one area where they've sort of ignored, and I don't know why.
I think that it is kind of peculiar they've ignored it. I mean, they don't have gaming per se of the Nintendo and Xbox family and all those kind of things, but they do have a lot of apps for learning and for different things that I would consider sort of gaming. But I think they haven't moved into that because it's not the group of people that are interested in Apple. The ones that are true gamers are interested in there's PlayStation, there's all these others made by Sony and by all these other things where that's kind of really their market, and Apple doesn't really see themselves getting into that.
While we're on the subject of the kids and education, are we approaching a day where we'll have wearable, and we are, obviously, technology, where kids can use it in the classroom and maybe not study as much?
Well, but why does that mean
Well,
they don't have to study
if I
as
can go
much?
online by looking on my watch and get the answer, why do I need to know
It
that?
needs to be integrated into the educational system, and it will be. And I think it'll be integrated, and people will become better users of this gadgetry, if you will. And I think it's going to be a positive factor.
I mean, that is a very, very good question. It's a whole segment within itself.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, do you really need to remember anything, or if you're the best searcher of information, does that mean you're educated versus knowing how to do something? So that is the billion-dollar question.
That's an even better scenario that you propose. Why do you have to go to school if you have access at a moment's notice to all the knowledge in the universe?
Yeah, but you still have to learn it. I mean, you really do. You still have to learn it and understand it. So I don't think the gadgets are bad. I think it's just life. I think that's just the future.
It is the future.
You have to embrace it.
I think so too.
I mean, in a sense, it's enhanced our lives.
Yep.
It's made things faster, easier, more convenient for us, and that seems to be the drive where we're all going. And it's progressed our society to certain extents.
Well, it makes us better. But at the same time, I wonder if it's making us better in terms of our abilities, but yet, as a person, we suffer because we're into this gadgetry stuff.
Let's get back to what we were talking about a moment ago. Time magazine ran a cover with a caption, "Never offline," where people are connected 24/7. There was a time where you actually went home and your day was over.
Yes.
Now, your day continues. You leave your smartphone on the nightstand. If it buzzes in the middle of the night, you pick it up.
I'm even worse, it's in my bed, and that's really bad. I mean, I think people
right next to Fluffy, your dog.
Right. But people fall asleep with their gadgets, like right there beside them. That's probably not good.
And let's throw this question to you because you're a psychologist. Don't we need time to unplug at some point?
You need time to unplug, and you need time to be yourself, and you need time to be away from this gadgetry, to be a person. And that's what I'm a little bit concerned about. As much as I like it and I'm intrigued by it, like everyone is, I think that we need to step back and take a look at what about our sense of being? And I think that's where there's a disconnect.
Well, Professor, you're near kids all the time. You know, so college kids. Do you see this happening?
I see what's happening, in not just at the university level or with everyone. There's this constant busyness, but I would consider it an unproductive busyness, where they're not really learning. They're entertaining themselves to a sense. Where they could just be doing something else or sleeping or doing so there is kind of that time management thing that's really out of sync currently, but I think this is societal.
Why do we feel that once we get an email or text, we have to respond immediately?
It's an addiction, I would say, to the point.
Would you say that?
No, I don't think it's an addiction. I think you just want to answer it. I think
Dee Dee, come on, it's an addiction.
I think the only problem with it is that you're online more than you are talking to people in person. Just because, many times you see people sitting on a table. Everyone is texting on their phone.
That's right, and not talking.
That's the only bad part.
But it does generate a feeling where you believe that you should respond to this person. You need to respond, and I think that generates some real problems, because should we really be on call to do that all the time?
Right.
Well, you don't have to. Then don't respond. I mean, usually you want to get to it, but you don't have to.
Well, it generates a sense of satisfaction that you've accomplished something. And that's what this data has really done to us, all this constant moving of data.
Well, we've seen these resorts where you have to leave your smartphone before you go into the resort, and I think that says a lot. But
in schools.
In schools. Are we turning into, the last question is, are we eventually going to turn into cyborgs like Star Trek? Do you see this happening?
I mean, in a sense, we are cyborgs.
I mean,
now.
let's move 50 years from now. Will we have there's an old Seinfeld episode where Kramer talks about a microchip stuck in your head and you can take phone calls and not even pick up the phone.
I see almost every profession these days. I see guys on the road that are putting down new road and they're taking breaks and they're on their cell phones doing things. So I think this is just happening all over the place right now. So
it is a brave new world. I thank you very much. We're going to have to take a break now. Next up on the lightning round, the famous lightning round, we'll look at the TV shows and movies coming our way this fall. There's a bunch. We'll be right back.